Namaste and welcome to React Bits. In this series of tutorial, we are creating our own starter template for Flutter Appwrite applications. Up until now, we have set up our Flutter project, we have set up the Appwrite project in Appwrite console, we have basic minimum login, sign up, and our starter homepage. Now it's time to set up some state management solution and then set up user authentication so that user can sign up and log in to view their homepage. So let us get started with part 3 of this tutorial series. The first thing we'll do is we'll set up the change notifier that we'll use to manage the authentication stuff. So under features in auth, under folder, we will create user repository dot and I made few mistakes here. So under auth, the pages and notifiers should be inside presentation folder. So let me create presentation folder and let me move these two folders inside presentation folder. Okay, we might have errors here, so let's just fix these imports, and here again let's fix these. Okay, now we can remove this as well. So we have our user repository which will create a change notifier. So change notifier, we need to import material, that's fine. And here we'll also create an enum that will hold the authentication status. So it can have uninitialized authenticating unauthenticated. Okay, so here we'll create an instance uninitialized. So initially it will be uninitialized, and then let us create an instance let's create some variables. User error, that will handle the error message. Loading, that will handle loading state. Okay, so for user we need to have a user model that will hold the user information. We can easily create user model by looking at the Appwrite documentation. So if we head over to Appwrite IO and then docs and to account, and we can see something called get account, and if we go to this get account, we can see that it returns a payload that is user object, and if we tap on this user object we can see its properties. This is how we can create our user model using these properties. So let me head over to here auth data. So auth, inside auth we'll create a data folder, models user dot where we'll create our user model. class user, and if we look at it, it has ID, name, registration, status, email, email verification, preference. So these are the fields. Let me just copy this JSON for reference. Let me paste it here. So we'll have ID, name, date time, registration, int status, email, email verification, preps. So let us generate data class. I'm using a VS Code extension called generate data class in order to generate this data class, and I'm not yet using null safety, so I can just remove this and then this. And the ID field is $ID in Appwrite, and the registration field is in Unix timestamp, which is in seconds, so we need to multiply it by 1000 to get milliseconds. Okay, and I think for toMap we can just divide this by 1000 to get integer. Save. We now have user, so we can call it user. So here we'll set up error should be empty string, loading should be initially true. Now let us create some functions. In the API service, we'll add one more function, that is get account function. Get user, it will return account.get. Okay. Now let us set up some functions that will help us log in and sign up the user. So let's create first sign up function. Sign up, name, email, and password. All fields are required. This is an async function. Here so authenticating, we are starting to authenticate. We can notify listeners, then we'll call API service instance.signup, and we'll pass in and password. Okay, and if this is successful, we can simply set error to null or empty, and then we can sign in the user. So if login is successful, we can already sign them in and return true. We need to create this sign in function. So we already have email and password. Okay. Also, we need to handle the error. So Appwrite, it's quite easy. Try Appwrite throws Appwrite exception. here on Appwrite exception, catch the error. So our error will be message, status will be unauthenticated because we had an error, and notify listeners false. We can make it return feature bool. Similarly, we can handle the sign in function in similar method. So let me just copy this. Okay, let's make this async. We don't need name, login. We don't need to call sign in again. So once we log in, we can call something called, if login is successful, we can call get user, that will get the current sessions account of the user. So I'll create that function, get user function here. Okay, and we can use similar thing, try Appwrite exception, patch p, status unauthenticated, message, and here finally we can say loading false, notify listeners. In the try, we'll call API service dot instance dot get user, user from map rest dot data, authenticated. Okay, so we now have basic authentication flow functions. So we have functions for basic authentication flow. We have sign in and get user. Initially, when user repository is created, we can call get user. This will check whether or not user is already logged in and redirect them to proper home page if they are already logged in. Now let us create getters for these user, status, and loading and error. So loading, so we now can get this outside of this class. Okay, now let us set up our state management. So in the core, in presentation, I'll create a folder called providers, and inside there I'll create providers.dart, which will hold all of our providers. Here I'll import Flutter Riverpod. First, let us create our user provider. We'll use change notifier provider ref, and it will return user repository, and we can give this a type of generic type of user repository. So we have our user repo provider. Let's head over to app.dart, where we need to, even main.dart, where we need to wrap our app with provider scope so that we can use Riverpod for state management. Once we add this, we need to hot restart. Okay. In app.dart, we also need one extra page that will handle the authentication state and display the page's initial page accordingly. Okay, so that should be our home page. Let's create two different pages in auth. So inside auth feature in presentation pages, I'll create auth home.dart auth home, and I will make this a consumer widget. So this is from Riverpod. If you do not know about Riverpod, please follow along with my introductory Riverpod tutorials. You can find the link in the description below. Scope reader, watch. Okay, so here we'll watch our user repo provider. And we'll switch context based on the status. Switch status dot unauthenticated or authenticating. So for authenticating, we can return here login page. For authenticating, we can return splash page, which we have not yet created. So let us create our simple splash page. So inside our general presentation pages, I'll create splash.dart splash page. I'll just remove the title bar itself, and then instead of list view, I'll have center child, this text, I'll call it loading. That's all. I'll import splash page here. Default again will be, sorry, so this, and default should be splash page. Authenticated, so we can check if is loading. If user is loading, we can again return splash page, otherwise home page. Okay, so in case of unauthenticated, authenticating, and I think even uninitialized. So all the status, we are handling all different status cases properly. Now in our app.dart, instead of this home, we can go to our generate. Here we can pass the default auth home page. Also for case home, we return auth home page. We can hot restart. It should give us some, okay, it's in the loading. Let's check what we are doing. We are watching user repo provider. We are creating user repository. When the instance is created, we are loading through get user. we should be loading false, and then notifying listeners. Let's see this. Let's just hot restart. Okay, we have an error here at least. Let's see. Tried calling get user, receiver null. Get user was called on null. Okay, I can work with that. Get user was called on null. I'm not returning the instance here, so return instance. So this get instance should return instance. Now we should get somewhere. Okay, we get response error 401. This is because we are calling get account but we are not logged in. See, we are now in the login page. So let us head over to sign up page and handle the sign up method first. So let us convert this into stateful widget, and down here let us set up text editing controller, name, email, password, confirm password. Okay, and let us create a form key. So in the init state, let us set up text editing controller. We can do the same for email, password, and confirm password. All right, and we can assign these in our text field. So this is name field, name, email, password, and I can make a copy of this and call it confirm password. Confirm password. Now let us handle sign up button. So in the sign up button, we'll make this function async. You can add validation stuff here. Validation to validate that user have entered correct name, username, password. But right now I'll only validate confirm password and password. So how we can do that? Name dot text, email dot text, name, email, text, confirm password dot text, and we'll simply validate if password is not equal to confirm and show message. So we can use scaffold messenger. So this was introduced newly in Flutter 1.17. We can use the scaffold messenger in order to show snack bars. We no longer have to use scaffold. Scaffold messenger of context dot show snack bar, text. So passwords not match. We can also simply clear password dot clear confirm password dot clear. Okay, else if this is correct, then we can call the sign up function. For that, we'll simply call await context.read. For this, we need to import Riverpod. So let me import. Context.read user repo provider dot sign up, will pass in name, email and password, and we'll check this. So whether or not it returns true. If this returns true, if not true, then we can show message, and else we can navigator dot pop, remove this navigator dot pop, and here we need to show the message again. So let me just duplicate this, and here instead of this we'll show the error message from our user repo. User repo provider dot error. Okay, and let's change this button name. This should be sign up. Okay, this should handle our sign up properly. Let's check it out. Remove this. Let's go to register. I can tap sign up. Okay, we don't see any error message. We should be moving on to, let's go to sign up method. Let's check. If we try to sign up again, it should say account already exists. Now, is it even calling this? Okay, I'm changing the wrong onPressed method. Sorry. So this should have been in the not the button, not here. Here I could simply up, and instead in this, in sign up button, I should add this, save, and then call tap sign up. Okay, we have successfully signed up and we are redirected to the home page. Now if we hot restart, we should successfully be redirected to home page by default. Now let us add a simple profile page with logout button. So let's go here, presentation, in auth, presentation pages. Let us add a profile dot profile page, user profile. Let's just add a button here. elevated button, unpressed, child should be log out, and in our home page let us add a action icon button that person unpressed navigator dot push named app routes dot profile. We need to set that up. Let's go to app routes, profile, and case profile, profile page. Let's go to profile page. On pressed we need to call, let's make this async, await. Let's import Riverpod, Flutter Riverpod, await, context.read, user repo provider dot logout. We should create that function. So let's head over to user repository. Let's create a function called logout. Async logout. Again, in the API service we need to create the logout function. Delete sessions. For now we'll just delete all the sessions as we are not holding any sessions. So once we log out, everything will be gone, all the sessions in all the devices. But that might not be desired effect for your application. If that's the case, you can save the session ID when user creates the session and then delete it. Await, so here I can try on Appwrite exception. Just print the error message for now. False maybe. Here I will, what I'll do, I'll make user null, status will be unauthenticated, and I'll notify the listeners. And in the profile dot I'll log out and then navigator dot wow. Let us hot restart and test our logout button. Tap logout. Okay, we are back to login page. Now finally we can set up our login page. So let me remove this login dot. Again, let's make this stateful and let's set up email and password, init state, controller, and we can pass these to our email field. Email password, and here we should handle our login. Let's import Riverpod. So in the login, let's email the text, we can use client-side validation. So I'll simply call await read user repo provider dot sign in email and password. If this is not true, then tuple messenger of context dot show snack bar user repo provider dot error, and maybe I can simply password dot clear to clear the password. Else maybe we can even show that you have logged in successfully or welcome back message. So here we'll just call it welcome back. Now let us try to log in. App login. Okay, unsafe, that's fine. This is because of this message, so let's remove this. So we can now successfully log out and log in. So we can log in, we can log out, we can sign up. This is all for this episode. Thank you everyone for watching this tutorial. If you want more similar videos, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Also provide your comments, provide your feedback so that I can improve myself and I can help you better. Thank you. See you again in the next episode.